went down to the end of page Mem Aleph. We spoke about the union of shem is anira, and reim is nishma. The asogis amahus, and then we went to the point where we say that the koiches maintain the connection to their mocker, and in the mocker it's a pshitus. As a result of that, there could be interchange of the functionality of the koiches. And then the last word is that this is greater than the union of hassidut. Hassidut means they don't oppose each other. But this is more than not opposing. This is actually interchangeable. Because this is really reflecting the union of pshitus mamish, pshitus hamoker. The union from pshitus hamoker we discussed. That is something which is an endless discussion. But in principle we discussed this the principle. And we already learned the kitzer also actually. On page AyinBase. I will start with chof. Vehinay batoiro yesh midbor yishu v'soda. In Torah there are three qualities. That which will be referred to as midbar, a desert. Yishuv is an inhabited and a settled area. And Soda is a field, which is populated by plant life. What is this signified? It's known that in general, overall, Torah is can be referred to as a tziyur odom, as the structure of odom, of a human structure, a gestalt, so to speak. Or k'meisha kosuv, as the pasuk says, Zois ha-Torah odom. Zois ha-Torah, clearly in the pasuk there is a snachta, there is a kind of an interruption. Zois ha-Torah odom ki omus be'el, and odom begins a new statement. Nonetheless, the close proximity of the word Zois ha-Torah odom allows us also to read them together. That Torah is represented by a reference called odom. What is the special reference of odom? Vehinay. That infers sheha-Torah hi b'chinas pnimi. That Torah is the bechina, is an aspect that's called pnimi. And this is the unique quality of odom. That odom has all the koiches and everything that odom relates to and ultimately processes. It goes through all the koiches, his koiches, from chochmah into bina and das and so forth and amidas. He digests and identifies everything that flows through his system between pnimi. He internalizes things. Shezehu ha'hefresh, where in fact this is the difference between Torah and mitzvahs. Between Torah and mitzvahs. Sheha mitzvahs, where the mitzvahs, hein rotzen ha'elyoin, they represent the supreme will. The supreme will, this is bechinas makif. This is an aspect that's makif. Makif means that it is, the word makif means it surrounds, it encompasses. Just as we mentioned many times, when from the shem said, when a person's will, this is where he is. Even though there may be a great distance, and there may be all kinds of different aspects between him and the place where he wants to be. Nonetheless, where he wants to be, this is where he is. That means he is there not in a pnimi, in a factual, in an active fashion, but he's there on a real level, on a higher level, what's called a makif, a perspective level. So mitzvah is in for Rotzoin. Rotzoin has no bounds. The expression is, nothing can stand in abstract Rotzoin. Rotzoin breaks through all barriers. It does not relate to different contours. Where he wants to be, this is where he is. This is Anyan from Makif.
Does that relate to what?
Different contours, different processes. This is not a Makif. Makif is born looking at the Shomayim, there's the oneg. The world, the completeness of the world consists of these two principal levels, Shomayim and oneg. Oneg, if you want to get to one place from an oneg to another, you have to navigate and you have to negotiate every little difference, every little hill, every little turn on the oneg. Shomayim, on the other hand, from any vantage point you can see that at the end of the Shomayim. That's a makif, and this is how Rotzen relates to things. The Torah, so mitzvah is in from Rotzen. Torah, on the other hand, he behinay chochmah. Chochmah, Rotzen, Torah is in from chochmah, which means behinay oir pnimi, which is the aspect of oir pnimi, an oir that imbues itself bepnimius into the keli, which means oir pnimi. And it imbues itself bepnimius, relating to all the differences and all the twists and turns within the environment where it imbues itself. So this is in general Torah. Torah is Oyer Pnimi. The term Oyer Pnimi we'll still need to really discuss, because from a superficial vantage point. When you say oyer and pnimi, this seems to be two contradictory terms. Because oyer just illuminates. Oyer means a light. Pnimi means something which imbues itself and identifies with all the cracks and crevices. But there are different kind of oyer. There is oyer makif and there's oyer pnimi. Rotzin represents an oyer makif, and chochmah represents an oyer, but an oyer pnimi. In having identified this principle, we'll still obviously learn about this, that you have oyer, and the oyer is oyer pnimi. It immediately directs us to recognize the oyer not on the basis of how the oyer represents itself, but what the oyer stands for. Just like we're saying about chochmah and rotzin. When somebody expresses his rotzin, he's expressing a will, an inyan that the recipient, the one who hears it, like you said, a mitzvah, is not required to go in and see where this rotzin is coming from. This is what he wants. Whereas when he expresses an inyan of chochmah, then the recipient has to focus in on what is the content of this and what does it mean and so forth. Because in the source itself, chochmah represents a different element in the source than rotzin. This is what oyer makif, oyer pnimi. The meaning of oyer in the real sense of the word, I just want to bring it in so we will be able to continue. We already discussed the principle, what's called the principle an Atzmi, an Etzem, a fundamental reality. We spoke about the human being ownership, the human being being in his home, and an animal being in its place. The home that a human being owns, the minute he steps into it, he automatically fills the entire home. How does he fill? Because, in other words, there is a human oyer. This home belongs to a human being. And as a result of that, it has to be treated in a special way, and has to be designed in a special way, and so forth. It has to be maintained in a special way. Because there is the human oyer that affects it and that illuminates it. The animal does not relate to oyer. The animal relates to the mitzias, the gashmistic mitzias. There is no oyer emanating from the animal. So oyer is something which, what is the difference between the human being and the animal? The difference primarily is the animal is of a secondary nature. He is there on a simple physical experience level. The human being has a purpose, stands for something. His presence in the world has a sense of reality. He belongs there. And the world is actually so to speak, waiting for his input. That's called an Etzem. And that's why there is the union of oil. The minute the human being comes to the world, he changes the entire perspective of what the world is, like I mentioned many times. Before Adam Rishon came to the world stood for nothing. Adam Rishon was created, then the world became a real world. He lifted and illuminated everything with his spirit. So therefore we can understand there is oil makif and oil pnimi, which means that this human oil, human influence, has two distinct effects. One effect is you should appreciate the makif, the general reality. And the other effect is you should also appreciate and recognize that everything within that general reality, everything is significant.
Everything is?
Significant. Has a meaning. That's a chochmah. Again, this is something which we will still first. So Torah is bechinas chochmah, bechinas oil pnimi. Vehinay bechinas hamidvo shebeteira. Now we said that in Torah there are three bechinas: midbar, yishuv, and soda. Inyan from midbar in Torah, yesh leimar. What can be said about this in order to relate to that concept? Shezeho ha-Torah k'mei shehi bechinas es esfiras hagnuzos. That this is the Torah as it is at the level and contained, represented by the Esesphiras Agnuzos, the concealed Esesphiras. The word gonuz means something treasured, like a gniza. Gniza means a treasure. Now, what is the significance of a treasure? A piece of bread, you're not going to stash away in treasure. Bread is meant to be consumed at the time when we need it. What is treasure? Treasure is for something that has a value beyond its immediately effective functional level. We know, for example, there's a pasuk, Haykum asher b'ragleihem. Haykum means the stand up. And actually says, what is Haykum? Haykum means that this is the nechosim, the wealth of a person, shemamid yaragla, that allows him, stands him up on his feet. This is not his shoes or his trousers. This is that which gives him a freedom to stand on his feet and pursue his own goals. Mamidi al Ragla. They say, for example, that in a crown, not to say, for example, the mashal that's given for chassidus is that this is the precious stone in the crown, and the value of the crown is due to the precious stone that's in there. You can have all kinds of different wealth, associated gold and silver and all kinds of different. But there's one precious stone that has a unique stone, And this is what defines that sets this crown apart, that it has a, so to speak, a fundamental value beyond its measurable value. This is what a treasure. Treasured jewelry, for example, is not worn on your neck. If anything, it will be put on in unusual moments. This is something which is treasured. Then there is valuable things that are decorative, that are used for decoration. This doesn't go into the category of a treasure. This has a functional value. Esesphiras hagnuzos, say the esesphiras that are in treasure, which means these are not esesphiras that you're going to take out and start building a world with. You're going to keep it in treasure, so that when you go into the world, and not now.
You said it was going to be even a victory, as I call it.
Yeah. If you go into the world and you identify all kinds of different things, all kinds of different jewels, and esesphiras. So you think that esesphiras have just a world level value. No, but I saw esesphiras in treasure. This is just a reflection of what the real thing is. Sure, I'm not going to take the treasure out. But this reflects and tells me that there is a treasure type of value that this represents. That means that's as far as I know. That's the point of the sphere. But the sphere is agnuzis. The sphere agnuzis gives you a different sense of value for the spheres, for the koiches.
Which is like the table leg in Shemaiah, the table with legs in Shemaiah.
Yeah. All right, let's see. So that the Torah, that the midbar in Torah is like esesphiras agnuzis. The vehinay a son esesphiras. That despite the fact that these are 10 spheres, which means there's a mitzvah of 10 spheres. And spheres, we know what spheres is. They have a certain value and certain functions of it. Nonetheless, they're not in the state of mitzius. These spheres you will not identify. This is something which you're going to start employing in building the world. Like the crown jewel, you're not going to build it into a set of dishes. The Lord bebchinas is chalkus. Nor is it bebchinas is chalkus that the 10 spheres are distinct one from the other. What is the significance of his chalkus, of distinction? Distinct alludes that each thing has a presence, a mitzias. When you talk about higher than mitzias, an idea, a primary value is not identified by distinction. How much is the crown jewel worth? How many dollars is it worth? That question itself indicates that you don't know what you're talking about. How many carats is it? Anybody know what carat is?
12.
How big is it? Is that, it's not even measured that way. Let's make a little bit between his chalkos. You call it as spheres, 10 spheres, and at the same time you say, wait, the spheres are gnuzes. They are not to be shown. They are not to be revealed. Because they are not revealable. They are not behind mitzvahs. Vehinay. That actually means, okay, here's a little kind of a shocker. Behinas Odom, the fact that in Behinas Odom, in that aspect that's called Odom, and Odom is, as we said, is a full, well put together structure, starting from top to bottom. But Behinas Odom, yesh gam kein, in Behinas Odom there is also included Behinas Kiloi Odom hu. That Bechina that you said, Loi Odom hu. He is not Odom. Loi Odom hu is a posuk in Tanakh. He'll probably tell us over here where that posuk is. Yeah. Posuk in Shmuel, Le'odom hu le'yisnach. That Le'odom hu, that Hashem is not Yodom, he doesn't change his mind. This is actually in the story of Shaul, where Hashem told Shmuel Hanavi that Shaul is going to be dethroned, and Shmuel told Shaul of this Navu, and he says, this is it, it's not going to be reversed. Kilu Yodom hu, he's not just Odom who can change his mind like that. So even though it's Odom, there is a structure and so forth, but the including that is Lo Odom, that which is not Odom, which is not to be identified by structure. Then we'll just finish this line so we'll have a little bit of a handle. V'yesh loymar. What can be said about it in order to get a handle on it is shezehu bechinas soidos v'rozin deiraiso. Now this loy odom, this is all part of Torah. In Torah itself there is a identifiable part of Torah, and then there is also soidos v'rozin, the secrets, the hidden parts in Torah. Shehein l'maylo mehasogo. That above hasoga, above the possibility of comprehension. Again, just one word of hasoga. I've spoken many times. How do you grasp something? So we have a physical motion on grasping. In order to grasp something, you have to be able to identify its contours, its edges. Like you grab the table by going beyond the table, and then you can grasp the table by its limits. You cannot grasp the table by its limitless aspect, like to the top. Soidos v'rozin of Torah have no graspable elements. This is godliness itself in Torah, which has no contours, has no defining elements, and that's why it can be grasped. The Ma'ameh Hasoga, In Nigel Torah, even in mitzvahs, in Nigel Torah, even though there are things that are beyond understanding of why dafki like this, why dafki like this. Nonetheless, you understand what it says to do. The tefillin consists of 4 pashas. We know what 4 pashas are. It consists of being square. We know what that is, and so forth. The tefillin shel yad have 1 pasha, 1 parchment that contains all 4 pashas. Tefillin shel yad shel rosh have 4 separate little parchments. All this we can get. But what that represents in Tzeres V'Rozin, that we have there is no way to grasp it, because this goes beyond the nigla and the practical aspect that can be defined in worldly terms. So this is the loy odom. In odom there is also loy odom. Our time is up, right? Yeah, okay, this is it. Have a great day.
How can it be? The question is how.
Vehinay